This segment of Panther Sports Talk is brought to you by CFU, the power of service.
When the 2005 UNI football team entered the FCS playoffs, they had won only 2 games by less than 7 points. In both of those games, UNI junior kicker Brian Wingert made some huge kicks as it prepared him for what would turn into 3 straight games of game-winning field goals when the season was on the line.
I think Eastern Washington was the first one here, and I think there was 10 or 15 seconds left, and it was tied. So that being a kicker, you don't have anything to lose at that time. If we were down 1, it would have been a little bit more nerve-wracking, but nothing to lose, and being confident at that time, it was fun.
Wingert was tremendous. I mean, his poise and his demeanor is what made him great. He had great talent, long, lean body for great leverage, and always consistent, but had the demeanor, whether he made it or not, you couldn't tell if he made it or not by his expression because he was always calm. And I think that's what made him the player that he was, but he made some big-time kicks.
Cool thing about Wingert was he had kind of like the swagger of a skill position guy, so he wanted that moment.
I remember looking at Farley when we had a 50-yard attempt, and he looked at me and he said, "Can you make it?" And I said, "Yeah, let's give it a shot." And so I went out there and I made it, and once you start that, again, the confidence was there. I think that was my 6th in a row.
I don't know if his mom ever watched a kick. She was always in the stands, but as his dad told me, I don't know that she ever actually watched one because she was more stressed out than Brian was.
The hours you put in allow you to not be as nervous as people watching might be, because you can do it, and you put in the time and the effort, and so it was fun, and at that time I do remember being extremely confident that when I was going out there I was going to make it. So Stensrud was our snapper. He was also playing D-line. He had so many knee surgeries over the years. I think that was his senior year. I mean, he was pretty much game day guy. Stensrud was an elite snapper. I mean, he could put it to where the laces were out. Koss didn't really have to spin it very often, and Koss being an athlete as he is, if there was a bad snap, he would always get it down. And so we had, I was really fortunate to have the consistency that I had with snapper and holders.
Yeah, get him in position. That was our job, and he did the rest. He made some huge kicks down the stretch, and was a big reason why we made the run that we did. Just get him in position, and he did the rest.
Every game came down to the final possession, or the ability to win or lose in the final possession in the playoffs that year. So it was nerve-wracking for me, and with every game almost being within, I think, 5 points in that playoff run, that was really neat and really exciting and nerve-wracking all at the same time.